How toxic is ozone to biological life, and how would an atmosphere containing 5% carbon dioxide saturation affect a plant? Can it yield ozone instead of oxygen? Would an oat seed in such conditions emerge as a giant tree or a mere algae strand? What birth effects would be observed from a conception achieved at 50% oxygen saturation? Can it yield a dragon or a flying ant from a hen's egg? Such questions are typical of human nature, although rarely expressed bluntly. They are poetic, philosophical, and are answered when science and available knowledge are applied through research. A mixture of chemicals tends to react or change states, solid, liquid, gas, until a steady state or equilibrium is attained. At such a time, individual chemical concentrations appear to be constant when measured. It may be that atmospheric individual gas levels have never been constant over millennial segments in Earth years. What humans experience in the limited lifespan is but a transition phase of atmospheric gas concentrations over changing planetary temperatures. The most favorable temperatures and gas concentrations would yield optimum biological size, power levels, and lifespans. Is the atmosphere evolving towards or away from ozone? Is the carbon footprint increasing or decreasing? What research is needed and what can it reveal? Earth behaves like a greenhouse that has an atmosphere bearing different gases at known concentrations. Have they been the same type and percentage prior to today? The dynamics of the gas concentrations are a sum of the animal and plant biological activities accompanied by industrial processes, solar and inherent planetary core temperature. Being a closed system means the air composition, pressure, humidity, and temperature can be kept at predetermined values. The conditions can be set to match the Earth's conditions. Individual gas percentages can be adjusted to be higher or lower. Temperature can also be modified. Extra gases can be added or excluded. Proposing a hypothesis that global partial pressures of the various atmospheric gases and ambient temperatures must have fluctuated over the millennia and caused alternative biochemical cycles in the various plant, animal, and microscopic life forms by modifying the metabolic pathways, molecular quantities, and rates. What changes would manifest in the morphology and behavior of life forms? Consider size, diet, mobility, and systemic processes like respiration. Design studies by reducing or adding gases in parts per million. How would methane, ozone, and sulfides affect the biology of the system? In such an experiment, the consequence of increased or decreased carbon dioxide concentration in the atmospheric environment, temperature variation, and effect on sample life forms can be scientifically assessed and appropriate conclusions derived. Further studies can be designed. Variations in other gas concentrations other than carbon dioxide can be achieved. Metabolic substrates for plant, microbial, and animal life can also be controlled. The goal is to challenge or prove global warming as a threat to the future of the planet. This experiment would do more rescue the corporate industry from paying carbon tax or save governments from guesswork through proven science. Who should fund or oppose funding for such an experiment? A series of greenhouses at average atmospheric pressures and initial equal temperatures can be set to contain different carbon dioxide levels. The range can or should be from 0.25% to 1.5% of global average carbon dioxide levels. Various organisms, must include rodent and microbial life and fungi, should be studied for a specified duration in the airtight environment. Periodical readings from enclosed equipment will indicate differences in temperature in the various carbon dioxide concentrations. Changes in levels of other atmospheric gases, oxygen, nitrogen, and other inert gases, can be measured and plotted against the initial and continuous carbon dioxide concentration. The purpose is to provide scientific data on the effect of higher atmospheric carbon dioxide on global temperatures as argued in global warming and carbon emission statements that have plagued industries and governments globally. Basic light chromatography or air sampling can be used to note changes in greenhouse air composition. No enclosed equipment should modify the internal temperature of the closed system. A study of the leaf size, plant and animal mass and size would yield any changes that should be compared to the difference in gaseous concentrations. Tweaked science can cover advanced variables like radiation, UV, and infrared by upgrades to this experiment. Every aspect of human existence suffers a split decision of those who agree and disagree. There are also the undecided and the uncommitted. As carbon emissions involves all life on Earth, there are those who can influence the eventual outcome of discussions and decisions: the academics, universities, and professors, politicians and CEOs, leaders of international organizations and lobby groups. Entities that may benefit by providing funding and sponsorship for this scientific query are those that would prove that increased carbon dioxide does not lead to global warming. Industries that may suffer carbon tax. Countries that may be fined for not converting to new global regulations. Improved health is the universal achievement if successfully conducted.